channel, we have another motorbike with us today, one from BMW Motorrad, and this is an electric scooter. It's the futuristic looking CE04. And first impressions, this is quite long of a bike, although quite narrower on the back. But it's a fantastic looking bike, and I've been looking forward to riding this bike for a long time. I kept seeing it on the roads in Paris, but not so much in London. I haven't seen many of these on the road. In fact, I could probably count on my hands how many times I've seen this one besides this particular one on the UK roads. But I think first thing first, let's talk about the design and talk about what this is all about, and then we can take it on road and talk about that as well. Starting with the front of the bike, we have our LED lights, which is really nice, but I also love this little extra areas here that they've got on the bike, but those serve for aerodynamics as well, but adds a bit of styling too, which is pretty cool. On the front, we have 15-inch wheels on there with two 265 twin discs, and that's got 4 piston calipers, and we also have our windshield on here as well, which comes in this color. I believe depending on which color you buy in this, you can actually change the color of that windshield on there, which is nice as well. But I like this orange. And then we move further down. The handlebars here are kind of narrow, not too wide, but they're nice and compact, which allows for a nice turning circle. It feels really nice and comfortable. And then I like the foot area here because you can almost sit by placing your foot here, or if you want to stretch your leg a little bit, you can go all the way to the front there as well. But careful though, when it's wet, it's easier on this, which I found out, to sort of slip off that area there. And then we move further back. We'll come back to the tech and stuff first, but more on that design. We have this nice slim seat here, which is nice and comfortable as well. It's nice and soft, as you can see there, and you can also carry a pillion on the back. Looking further, we got the full stand there, or you can do the side kickstand as well if you prefer to do that. That's probably quicker. This is kind of heavy as well, so for most people, this is probably the easier way to do it. In terms of seating height, I think this is about 788 millimeters. And as you can see there, I can almost flat foot it, but not completely. On like the Trident 660 that I rode recently, I could fully flat foot that one, but I guess if I go a bit forward, I can do it like that, but no one sits like that on a normal day. And while I remember, on the front, we have a 35mm Showa fork, and on the back, we have a Showa mono fork as well, but on this one, this is actually preload adjustable, so you can mess with that depending on what you're carrying on the back and stuff. But look at the wheels, the way it just goes all the way to the back, and it's interesting. It looks very futuristic. They've thrown it all the way to the back. Every time I look at it, it's almost like you can pick this bit up and that's going to fold inwards like those foldable bikes that we see around London, but that's not the case. But I think it looks fantastic on there. Looking closer to this lower element here, we got the exposed belt here, which looks really nice and mechanical. We also got this like protective element there, and we have a single caliper 265 brake disc that does a great job at stopping this, although we do have that nice recuperation in there as well, which we'll talk about when you roll it back. It just does all the job for you. So a lot of the time I don't actually use the brake, but you should use the brake. Coming around here, at first, I wasn't a big fan of this spare tire looking rim that they've got on here, but if you kind of look at it, it adds to the futuristic look of it, which is not bad at all, and that probably helps with aerodynamics in some sort of way. I'm not completely sure, but we have a 15-inch tire there, which, as you can see, looks interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments. Living in London, obviously, these sort of bikes might be prone to theft and all that kind of stuff. In terms of just the way they look, it doesn't necessarily mean that it gets stolen a lot, so don't get me wrong there. But what I'm getting at is, with this design as well, it's hard to actually place a locking mechanism there to actually lock this down. So what I've had to do is intricately just place my bike lock into the disc there, which is kind of difficult because of the little space that you have here. Fortunately, the front, though, is a lot more easier because it's a lot more exposed, so that was easier. So that's something to bear in mind. That being said, though, the bike itself has a lot of anti-theft stuff there, so you can lock the steering wheel, you can lock, well, rather than the steering, the handlebar, you can lock that down, and you can lock it so no one can get into it. And it's also keyless entry, which means without the key fob next to it, you can't actually start it or do anything. And then in terms of storage, our storage is in here, and what you have to do is once you've unlocked the keyless entry CE04, you then get access to this. So what BMW said is you can actually store your helmet there, but if you're going to be storing your cable as well, I'm not sure if your helmet's going to fit, especially with the size of my head. My helmet's quite big, and I don't think it's going to fit in there. So it's helmet size dependent in terms of what you can actually store there. But I'm glad that we get some sort of storage there. Because also the battery is mounted quite low, almost to the ground. It adds to the center of gravity, which in the sense that it's nice and maneuverable. And also the battery in there is actually technology from BMW iX range. So they've kind of slimmed that down to put that battery in here. And then come around to the side, we have more storage options here as well. So here, tap that little bit, you can store something here, maybe your smartphone. And that's also cooled as well, so it doesn't get hot and start fire or anything like that. So that's pretty cool. And then we've got the start stop button here in terms of powering it on rather than start stop. It's just a power on button. And here we have a 12 volt socket just hidden away underneath there, so you can charge things away. And then on this side is where you see your charging ports. Again, you have to start your bike up before you get access to that, otherwise it locks it. But in terms of charging, we're looking at 0 to 100% charge time is about 4 hours, 20 minutes from a regular household socket. Or if you have or have paid for the £850 option, fast charge option, you can charge this up in 1 hour, 40 minutes, but that's optional. So 20% to 80% charges in that one would just take 45 minutes with a faster charger, or 1 hour 40 from a regular household socket. And here we have the indicator lights as well, nice and snazzy and slim. And then we move on to the controls on the handlebar, because there's a lot to fiddle with here. And we have a 10.25-inch TFT monitor there, which is one of the largest that you will see on any motorbike. And it's kind of fascinating. I love that they've done that. It's visible, you can see different things, and it's just very, very BMW. Starting from here, we have a light button on there. We've got hazard light, menu button. One thing that's also interesting here is we have a reverse button on here. So you just have to press the brake, stick into reverse, and then it will come up on there to let you know it's in reverse mode and ready to reverse, which is cool. It just allows you to move a heavy motorbike like this easily and just more maneuverable. Then we talk about this one. This one you can rotate to do different things. You can toggle it inner side and out as well to do different things. And then you got your menu option to go up and down when you messing around with the menu there. So we'll talk more about that, but let's check this side as well. And on this side, we have obviously engine cutout and start and stuff. We have mode button as well, and heated grips. This is fantastic because when you live in London and it's cold, you need that 3-level heated grips, which means you can be nice and warm with your gloves on as well. Let's talk more about this and see what we can actually do here. So if we tap down on the menu, you can see all the icons available, so we can then go backwards and forwards, navigation, media, telephone, settings, and so on, and we can go back again as well. If we go to my vehicle, we can tap down on the menu button, and then this will give us all information about your vehicle. So then we can go across and see your onboard computer, trip computer, tire pressure information, service requirements, go back again, and we can see all the information that you can, have a look at. One thing you can do is, say for example, in onboard computer, we can tap down. So where it shows this little icon, it means you can go down for extra options, and that would give you option depending on what you've actually got selected on the screen. Go up and up again. And then we can go across to navigation, which works really well. I will show you that once I connect it to my helmet. So you can connect this to your helmet, you can connect this to your smartphone, and you will need to download that Motorrad connected app, which allows you to have your SatNav and a bit more as well, and media when you connect to your phone. But before we do that, let's go into settings, see what options we have. So you can go into vehicle settings, click it. You can do your alarm system, change your settings for your light system as well. I'll go back out. Oh, I've gone too far there. Go back, there we go. Sometimes it takes getting used to this little menu system here. So if you go back into settings, we can scroll down here, system settings, click that. Got date and time, change different things, and so on and so forth. Go back again, you got charge settings, click that, see what options we have. You can change your limit and stuff like that to preserve battery life. Connection settings, this is where you can connect your smartphone, your helmet, and even your passenger helmet as well. So perhaps you can communicate with each other whilst you're riding. So it's currently connected to my Ruroc Atlas Shock helmet, which has Bluetooth connection in there as well, which I'm happy I got that now. And then you got display options. We go into there as well. We can have a look at things like brightness, status line content, and speed limit info. That's all the stuff that will show on my display as it is. And then you got more information that you can reset things and so on and so forth. Going on here, what you can also do is when you tap all the way, you can scroll this. This is connected to my helmet. So if I'm rotating this, you can see my volume there for my sound as I'm driving. Oh, sorry, riding rather. And then if you go back up here, you can scroll across to show different things. So at the moment, it's showing my battery levels, and I can go across, and on that side, it shows my trip computer. So it's almost like a dual display, but you can go all the way to give you full display option on what you can see on the screen tap down again to go into menu, go back up again to go back into the full screen, or you can go across again to bring that second screen on the side. So you can maybe display your navigation there and all that stuff. Let me grab my helmet and my phone, connect it up so I can show you what that looks like as well. So once you've connected to your smartphone like I've got here, so this is connected to my Android device, it's also available on iOS as well. So you can see my bike situation, the battery level, how many miles I can do left, map mode as well. You can check the weather, rides, and so on and so forth. In Map Air, I can, do different locations. I can type in my location here and then transfer it onto the screen to start doing the navigation system. You can import different routes as well if you want to go for a fun ride. And there's loads of different options on the app itself that you can actually look at. So do check those and see which one suits your preference in terms of what you want to do. But there's loads in there that we're not going to be able to go through right now. But on here, before I go ahead, again, you got map mode, which means it connects to the bike. And instead of just getting, if I move this out of the way, instead of just getting this information there, which is like starts and stuff, you can actually have a full map kind of situation on here, which is pretty cool. So that's now connecting. So as you can see, that's now changed. So a full map situation, full graphics. That's incredible. And they've included that on here for you. So one thing I will warn you though is some of this comes as an extra pack, so you have to get the dynamic pack for this kind of stuff, which allows you to connect your phone and do these extra things. So that's basically that for the onboard computer and what it can do, which is fantastic. I think it's fully loaded for what you get in there. Let's look at the modes available. So if we tap our mode button here, we have road option, we have dynamic, we have eco, and we have rain as well. So let's cycle through that again. We have eco, rain, road, dynamic. And with dynamic, that's an extra £380 package, which then means you get adaptive headlights, I believe, or intelligent headlights, whatever it's called. And you also get things like your lean, ABS, and traction control as well. So when you're leaning through corners, that would allow you to do that kind of stuff, which is cool. You can pay for that, or you can just stick to not paying for the extra pack and get eco, rain, and road, which comes as standard with ABS and traction control, but not on the lean, as far as I'm aware of. But one thing that I really like about this though is you can change that mode even whilst you're riding on the road, because one of the things I've seen on some of the bikes before is you have to pull over, change that, and you're stuck in that mode for the rest of your journey. But perhaps you want to have fun sometimes and you want to go, you know what, I'm going to go from road, I'm going to go to rain mode, eco mode, or whatever. And in eco mode, the regen is a lot more powerful. So do bear that in mind as well. Before I forget as well, on the main screen, once you are ready to ride away, for example, it says ready now because I've put it into, I've started the power. What you notice as well is you've got power there, so when you move it on, off, it won't do it now. As you can, well, I'm tapping it ever so slowly, so you can see the power there. And when you're regenning, when it's charging back up the battery, this side will activate to show you how much power is being pumped back into the battery, which is kind of neat. I love that. And then, like I said, with the dual display, so you can see there, I've got my important information, and on that side, I've got my satellite navigation to start navigating my way to go home or wherever I want to go to. So that's it basically in a nutshell when it comes to the design, the computer, all the important information that you need to know. I think the next thing really is to get on it, take it on the road and talk through my ride experience and some of the speed information in terms of, well, power information rather than speed. So like what it can do, the amount of power you get, and all that kind of stuff. Let's go for a ride. All right, so one of the fun things I was talking about earlier is I can stick this in reverse. So press and hold it. Actually start the engine first. So it's ready, and press brake, press reverse. Oh, I have to keep pressing it, and then here we go. This will reverse. Nicely does it. And then once we're done, do our safety checks and we are off. All right, we are on the road with the CE04, and hopefully you guys can hear me clearly. And basically I've shut the lid because of the sound noise, the wind noise, so that will reduce that a little bit, which is cool. So now on the road, there's a bit of a traffic. One thing that's good about this is it's easy to maneuver and weave through traffic if you want to do that and filter rather than weave. So it fills you with confidence because you don't have to worry about it. It's nice and narrow, and it just feels really nice and easy to maneuver. Some stats for you, which I know some of you guys, some buffins out there, would love to know. This is a 42 brake horsepower
electric scooter. It's an equivalent of the 400cc combustion engine variant or version, if you want to compare it to that, hence what the 04 CE 04. But it's an excellent scooter, especially if you're riding around London like I am, and with all the congestion charges and all that stuff that's happening these days, more cars on the road, loads of traffic, this will make a perfect bike for urban situation like this. In fact, money no object, I would, hands on heart, get one of these if money was no object at all. Top speed is 75 miles per hour, which is plenty, ample amount of speed. You can take on dual carriageways and all that kind of stuff, and be rest assured that there will be no problems when it comes to speed. And obviously it's electric as well, so you've got plenty of torque, so this will just take you through nicely in terms of roll the throttle and boom, you get instant power, which is really good. When it comes to the 0 to 62 figures, you're looking at 9.1 seconds. Yeah, about 11,000 starting. Yeah. There we go. So literally the guy next to me who looked at the back and said, is that electric? I was like, yeah, as you can see, it's high catching. But back to what we were saying, you're looking at 0 to 62 in 9.1 seconds. So, but that doesn't really translate to what you feel in terms of, I'm telling you, once you pull that throttle in or roll it in, and it just goes, and you get that peak performance at 1,500 RPM. So it works really well. The SatNav is talking in my ears as well, which is cool. It means my helmet is connected to the bike and my phone as well for SatNav, and I can see a full screen color TFT SatNav on here, which looks amazing. I feel like I should do some filtering through traffic, but in the name of safety and the video that we're doing right now, I'm just going to concentrate on making sure that we're okay first. But yeah, this bike is amazing. I mean, speed-wise, you got speed when it comes to maneuverability. It's easy to maneuver. You can filter through traffic easily. It's very visible as well. It stands out. And mirrors are great. I think the handlebars are not too wide, so you don't feel overstretched. And it's not too low down as well, so you don't feel hunched over either. And the seats feels very nice and comfortable. I reckon I could sit on this for a long period of time and not worry about my bum going very numb after a long ride. Which is pretty cool. And you know, in terms of range and stuff, you have different modes. So you have eco, you can go road, you got rain, and you got, with this one as an extra pack, 380 pounds pack, you got the dynamic pack as well, which means, you know, I got that traction control and ABS on lean on corners and stuff like that, so extra safety on the bike itself. But yeah, depending on which mode you go on will determine what range. I think BMW Motorrad quoted around 80 miles that this would do on the WLTP, but I think for me, riding around London, going to the studio and back home, it's about 4 miles for me. So if you put that into perspective, I probably won't need to charge this, barely need to charge it at all, because it would just do what I needed to do and it will cover me for my kind of journey. So for urban use, I think it's plenty of range on there. So there's no complaints there for me personally, for my experience here, which is really good. Stick in eco mode and you're good. So for example, now I'm on 87% battery and that would do 55 miles. And that's, you know, considering the weather, the way that I've been riding. I've had it in road mode here and there, just whizzing around London, and it feels really nice and smooth. So yeah, I have no complaints at all. The TFT monitor is very bright, it's really cool. You can change the brightness level as well to make sure that you can see what you need to see, and it looks really good. And like I said, it feels and looks futuristic. But the interesting thing is, once you get on the bike, you forget what the bike looks like. So when someone goes, hey, is that electric? What bike is that? You forget why they're intrigued about what you're riding, because it looks futuristic. It looks very good. The CE 04 is so comfortable as well in terms of, you know, going over speed bumps and stuff like that. It feels nice and comfortable. The bump is nicely distributed across, you know, the front and back of the bike, and those suspensions are doing a great job of keeping me nice and comfortable going over speed bumps, going over potholes, and, you know, just the rough roads of London. And this is ready for that. The regen on this is very good as well, because literally I don't really have to use my brake that much because it's quite strong. So I'm going, I let the throttle roll and it almost brakes instantly. So it's almost like one pedal drive in electric cars, which is basically what you can do on this. But obviously your brakes are there if you need them. If you need to brake sharply or for emergency reason or whatever, you can do that as well. But this is pretty cool the way that it works each and every time. Like I said, if money was no object, I would definitely part ways with my money to get something like this, because once you start adding all the packs and extra bits and bobs, that's when the price starts to bump up a little bit. So you have to keep that in mind.
So that's it for the BMW Motorrad CE04 electric scooter. As always, if this is your first time around here, please do subscribe, smash the bell notification so you know every time there's a new video up on the channel like this one. And as always, let me know what you think in the comments below. Would you part ways with that sort of money for this? Let me know.